So several students left home to go to school. So we're looking at their distance from home. So where did they start? Where is 0, 0? What does that represent? Their starting point is where?
Home.
At home or school?
Home.
Home. So we can even write here, home. 0, 0 is when they're at home. So each of these tells you a story about their trip. So let's look at the first one. Amir quickly rides his bike to school. So now his distance from home increases. That means he's getting further away from home in a short period of time. There's no numbers here. We don't need to interpret it with numbers. We're just interpreting the scenario, okay? It's quick, which means that this is going to be, let's use a different color, steeper. It's a steep line because it's really quick. We're looking at his distance over his time, which represents speed, right? Distance over time is speed.
Yeah.
How far did he travel and how much time? What happens next? Then he waits there for his friends. So if he's waiting there, let's look at the line. He's waiting. Time is passing. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is. Seconds, minutes. Time is passing, but why is the line flat? Why is it horizontal? Because his distance is not increasing or decreasing. He's staying in the same spot. Okay, so again, now we're looking at walking slowly to school for the first half. So I want you to circle this. This is slow. Notice how it's less steep than the first example. This is less steep. I want you to write these key words here. She's walking slower. Then all of a sudden, what happens? What does she decide to do? Then she runs. Notice this is steeper. The line is steeper. She is covering more distance in less time. She's going faster. We're going to underline each part of the story. Chris runs to the corner. So this is running. Then what happens? All of a sudden, what does he decide to do? What does it say next? Waits for his friends. So the line should be horizontal, flat. Whenever the line is flat, we know that you are not moving, but time is passing. So that's when he waits. So he runs, then he waits, and then what?
Walk.
Then he walks. Good. So he's walking, which means it's not as steep. He's going slower, right? And then what?
Talk to his friends.
Then he stops again. What kind of line is that?
Straight line.
Horizontal. He stopped to talk to his friends. Sarah runs to her neighbors. So circle the first part of the graph. She's running. Is the line steep or not steep?
Steep.
It's steep because she's running. Then what happens? Divine? She
forgot her homework and runs home to collect it.
Okay, so she's going back home. So now her distance is decreasing because she's going back towards her house. So the distance from her home is decreasing. She's going home. So she's going back to her starting point. Remember, this is home. She's going away from home, and then she's going back towards home. Is she going the same speed when she goes away from home and when she goes back home? Is it the same speed? Does it look like it? Yes. Excellent. Question. It says she runs to her neighbors, which means this point right here is where she...
No, because that's an apostrophe for S.
But she's actually, it doesn't say, this is where she's at her neighbor.
She jogs.
She jogs the whole distance to school. So here she is jogging. Is the line steeper or less steep than the first one?
Yes.
Less steep because she's going slower now. And then where does this graph stop? What does this point represent, do you think? It says she jogs the whole distance to school. So where's the ending point on the graph? This is school. This is at school. Excellent. So it says, Myrna leaves home on her bike. So she leaves home on her bike. Let's underline that. At about the 3/4 distance mark, she hits a curb and gets a flat tire. She tries to fix the tire. So is she moving or is she stopped here?
Stop.
She stopped. But in the end, she ends up having to push her bike to school. If she's pushing her bike to school, do you think she's going the same speed or is she going slower?
Slower.
Okay, those are your... She leaves her home on her bike, so this is the starting point at home. She's leaving her home. She's on her bike, so she's going fast or slow.
Faster.
Okay, that's pretty much where we stop. And then she gets a flat tire, so she stopped. She tries to fix the tire, so she stopped for a bit, like that. She stopped, and then she has to push her bike to school, so she's going slower, like we already discussed. So my line is going to be less steep than this one. So something like that. Raise your hand if your graph looks something like that. Steep, horizontal, less steep.